A lot of the similar considerations will be happening when you're choosing a driver and when you're choosing a fairway wood. However, with a fairway wood, there's a few extra things that we need to be thinking about. So classically, when we're looking at buying a golf club, we're going to consider things like the grip, we're going to consider things like the shaft, the length, the flexibility, the kick point, the weight of the shaft, and then when we come to the club head, with fairway woods, we've got quite a broad spectrum of things that we can look for. A fairway wood would be everything down from the one I've got here, which is a very low lofted 3, it's a 3+, sits at 13 degrees aloft, and this is the club I use for sort of driving the ball as far as I can off the deck to get it up on par 5s, but I also use this club quite regularly on par 4 and par 5 teeing grounds if I don't like the option of hitting driver. Maybe if it's quite narrow or there's out of bounds in certain situations, I might feel like my driver could go too far towards those danger hazards, so I'm going to drop down to my fairway wood, which is generally going to give me a little bit more accuracy. So I'd say that I probably hit my fairway wood more times from the teeing ground than I do from the fairway, and because of that I choose a club that's appropriate for what I need it to do. I play with a lot of golfers that play with fairway woods very, very regularly, and more often than not from the fairway. Maybe shorter hitting golfers can't reach 200 yards with an iron, so they're going to revert down to a fairway wood. Some golfers even 150, 160 yards, fairway wood. So the fairway wood family will be everything from like I say, almost a 2 wood here, 3 wood. Generally we don't have too many 4 woods, but a 5 wood, a 7 wood, a 9 wood, and some golfers even 11 and more. Those numbers, as they increase, is increasing the amount of loft. As the loft increases, generally the height the golf ball goes increases, but the distance the ball goes decreases. Now, if you're going to be using a fairway wood quite often from the fairway, you generally want something with a relatively small and relatively low profile head. If you're playing a fairway wood from a teeing ground, like a 3 wood, you can get away with a slightly bigger head and slightly higher profile head. But if you're going to try and get the ball out of some pretty bad lies, you want a nice low profile head. You almost want something that's a bit more rounded across the sole plate so you can get underneath the ball and dig the ball out. You want something that's not got too long a shaft, so it's not too difficult to control. You might also be able to buy something with a bit of adjustability, maybe a draw or a fade bias. Particularly if you're a golfer who fades the ball or slices the ball into trouble, maybe buy a fairway wood that has a bit of draw bias to help you keeping that ball straight. The other consideration with the fairway woods is we want to make sure that the club will do a discernibly different job to other clubs in your bag. There's no point having a 3 and a 4 and a 5 wood if they all go 4 or 5 yards apart from each other. There's not a discernible difference in those yardages, and there's too many clubs doing a similar job. We'd want to see at least 15, if not 20, 25 yards difference between a 3 wood, a 5 wood, a 7 wood, a 9 wood. Likewise, if you've got hybrid clubs in your bag, there's no point having fairway woods that do the same job as a hybrid club, because again, the 2 clubs are clashing, they're both doing the same job. So let's have some separation between the clubs. Go and see a good club fitter, go to the local driving range or a PGA professional and hit a number of shots with a 3 wood, a 5 wood, a 7 wood, and make sure they do a discernibly different job, and make sure there's a requirement for that shot on the golf course. If you think, well, this club goes 210 yards, but I very rarely get 210 yards out on the golf course, you don't necessarily need to spend a load of money and put that club in your bag. If you're struggling for room in your bag, remember the 14 club maximum rule, we can't carry more than 14. So don't have too many clubs that all do the same job or a job that you don't require just because the club fitter says, oh, try this and try that, try the other thing. Make sure the weighting of your bag, the split of your bag is correct by buying the right fairway wood clubs.